Um, now, I don't usually tell people what to do, but I'm going to tell you what to do right now, or sort of. If you want to live a longer and happier and healthier life, more satisfying life, you need to cultivate a physical practice of some kind in your life, and, if possible, also a creative practice. I have a few things to say about this. I feel pretty passionately about this and have been lately, particularly focused on it. So I've got some notes here if you see me moving pages around, and just I don't want to miss anything I've been thinking about telling you, whoever you are. By practice, I mean that you need to put pressure on yourself to study and improve something physical or something creative. And it's not just an activity. If you just run on a treadmill while you're watching TV on a screen above you, that's a nice activity. It's better, much better than doing nothing. But it's not a practice. If you are attending to the length of your steps on the treadmill and connecting your breath to those steps, or increasing gently the speed, or working on your posture and alignment and improving the way this feels, either meditatively or physically, or if you're trying to gently up your fitness level by increasing the speed or the incline or whatever you're doing, and you're doing that consciously, like with mindfulness, with awareness of your body and your breathing and what you're doing, then it's a practice. It's not just an activity. You need to challenge yourself. It doesn't have to be a huge amount of pressure or a huge amount of challenge, but your physical creative practices cannot be something that you just phone in. They have to you have to push yourself a little bit. Your physical practice has to put pressure on your mind and body, pressure that will reveal your strengths and also reveal your weaknesses. Running through exercises and drills that you can do in your sleep might be part of your overall practice, but you have to be challenging yourself to learn something and grow and find new ways to improve something you're doing. This is so good for your health. It's amazing. Not the least of which, it keeps you interested in living. There's an interest. You have a passionate interest in succeeding at something. That's what I think Bruce Lee talks about emotional content in a punch. I call emotional content the like passionate interest in success. It's not necessarily anger or like the drive to be better than someone else. It's the drive to do something successfully. So with physical practices, I'm talking about Tai Chi, yoga, CrossFit, combatives, weightlifting, running, walking, folk dancing, tango, golf, tennis, swimming, basketball, darts, throwing cards into a hat, biking, hiking, playing an instrument, anything where you don't just go through the motions. Something where you're consciously pushing yourself to improve some aspect of your game, where you're working to figure out how you can do something that you're doing now better. And here's the thing, it doesn't matter if you get better. It doesn't matter if you're better or worse than other people at what you're doing. It's not an ego platform. This is a practice. This is for your health and well-being. This is for you. Have a physical practice that keeps you consciously focused on your physical body, one that puts pressure on your body, enough pressure that your weaknesses are revealed, but not so much that they break. Too much pressure is not good, right? But too little pressure, and there's no weakness. You don't show them. Our bodies need pressure to feel alive, to grow, to engage, and just discover their capacities. So it's not about accomplishment or necessarily feeling good about yourself, although you might accomplish things and feel good about yourself. It's about putting pressure on your body and practicing fixing what that pressure reveals. So the pressure is going to reveal some kind of crack, some kind of flaw, something, and this is about studying yourself. So if you do, like say if you do Tai Chi, break down each movement. Set your bar for balance a little higher than it is right now. Have an ongoing practice of pressuring yourself to do better than you're doing now. That's what a physical practice is. You study yourself, you're present in here, you're trying to do what you're doing better. And believe me, your body will change, it will get older, and things that are easy now will get harder later, things that are hard now will get easy later. Your body's constantly changing. You can't rest on past accomplishments with a practice. You're always alive, always in it, always right now doing it, right? So I'm also suggesting that you have a creative practice of some kind. Something where you have to create something new. It can be writing songs, creating dances, writing poems, limericks, paintings, drawings, instrumental music, anything at all. Just create something that wasn't there before that and keep with your eye on improving, with your eye on doing it better. Not so much like, it's not so much getting into this whole dumb hierarchy thing about whose art is better, whose song is better, whose painting is better. It's not about that. It's about improving the satisfaction, improving the success of getting it across. Like if you're writing poems, does this say it for you? Does this sum up the feeling that you had in your heart or in your mind? Does this satisfy you to sing this song this way, or to paint this bowl of fruit this way, or whatever it is? Like, get better at satisfying yourself. Get better at hitting the target that you aim for. Like whatever the target is. That's what makes it a practice. And this is the trick about this, is that we all have these fears and judgments about things we create. We're living in a world of hierarchy and judgment about every single thing that's created. How good is it? And we think, well, my song won't be any good, or my painting won't be any good, or my poem won't be. Of course it won't. Who do you think you are? I mean, yeah, it's not, but it's not about you being Dylan. It's not about you being the Beatles. It's about creating something that is from you, that it expresses something that you see or feel or care about. I think we get way too focused on the product of our creative attempts, and not enough on the process, on what you learn from it, just what's the benefit to your health and well-being. No one even needs to look at the things you create when you have a creative practice. I think a lot of people worry that the thing they do won't be any good, and I just want to shake them and say, just start doing it, even if it's just for a few minutes. Pick up your guitar, make a few sounds on it that feel good to you, look around for some words that feel good to you, fool around until they match up. Do the same thing with a pencil or a keyboard or a dance space. Like Nike says, just do it. Start, even if it's just a few minutes. Just get the ball rolling, start the process. Once you start the task, your brain will start to figure out that, that you're asking it to solve these problems and to do these things a little bit better. So your body will start to rally, and it'll focus you on and bring what resources you have to the task. This goes for physical practices or for creative practices. Words will come into your mind and into your heart that feel better than others, and you use those. And you'll get closer and closer to the kind of song or the kind of work or the kind of activity or the kind of basket that you shoot or the kind of whatever that you're aiming for, the kind that feels good. And the kicker is, it doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be good however the hell you define that. It probably won't be. In all probability, you're probably not going to write the greatest song ever written or get the Nobel Prize or win a Grammy or whatever. You'll probably suck as far as the market is concerned, right? You probably will. It doesn't matter. But I get the distinct feeling that people, maybe even you, feel like something bad will happen if you start. Something bad will happen if you start. You think about starting and you just feel like this resistance or this fear. Like, what bad could come from just messing around, from just trying something, from just putting some sounds and some words together? Putting the pen to the paper, or looking at the keyboard and saying, I'm going to write a few sentences, write a few words that satisfy something in me. Nothing bad can happen. Really, nothing bad can happen from trying, right? Because the part of you, if you do it, just start, like do it. Do it, start. Because the part of you that thinks something bad will happen will be immediately eliminated, because nothing bad will happen. You'll do it, and you can do it 5 minutes a day for a whole week, and nothing bad will happen. Nothing bad will happen. But until you start, there's this fear that your song won't be as good as Bob Dylan or the Beatles, or that your work won't be as good as some of these great people. And I keep wanting, I can see that fear in people, and I go, but who do you think you are? I mean, of course it won't be. Of course it won't be any good. That's not the point, right? So, but the second you start, maybe you're harboring some narcissistic idea in the back of your head that you have this greatness in you, that if you started writing songs, you could maybe write a Dylan song. It's like, but as soon as you start, of course, you find out immediately that whether that's true or not. Let's just say it's not, but maybe it is. But starting will do that. It'll bring out whatever greatness is actually there. Not your fantasy greatness, but like whatever is actually there. And if you have a practice, then you can start to you can start to improve that, and just enjoy the process of sharpening your tools to execute your intent, your creative intent and your physical intent, you know. If your dream is to make your sound, your true sound, and reach other people, or to make your true movement and execute that well, and you want to connect and spread a little love in the world, then you know, right on, follow your dreams. But you know, I think if your dream is to be worshipped by other people, to get a whole bunch of money and power, if your dream is just to get things from other people, then honestly, I just say fuck your dreams, because no amount of fame or fortune is going to fix that gaping hole in your in your life. You need to stop chasing the spotlight and focus on yourself, more than on yourself than on your image and your actual self. You know, how you actually feel, what you actually think, what you actually want, how you actually sound. I just say let go of that whole fantasy and forget about greatness, and let it come if it does. Forget about measuring up, you won't. Forget about comparing your songs to other people's songs. Forget about the industry. Let go of being discovered by other people, the fantasies of someone hearing you in your room and thinking, oh my God, sign that person up. You know, you're probably not going to be discovered, and the music business is pretty close to a fucking hell realm as far as I can tell anyway. So forget, I say forget all that shit. Just forget all that stuff and see music as a process and a practice rather than a product that is going to bring you attention and bring stuff to you. If that's your thing, I mean, if you're young and ambitious and you're writing songs to conquer the music world, then I just say, you know, more power to you, go for it. I'm talking about the rest of us. I'm talking about the people for whom that's almost certainly not going to happen. And we're thinking, oh, we can't be creative, we can't do that kind of stuff. It's only, you know, the famous people who get to do that. But forget about the product. Focus on the process. Your songs, your voice, your personal expression as a human being is not a product. Not unless you want it to be. And if you do, your voice and your soul, I think, will suffer for it. For some people, it's worth it. It's worth the suffering. For others, it's not. So I'm saying don't think about it as a product at all. Fuck the whole rat race. Do it for yourself. Satisfy yourself. Write for you. Create for you. Create your body and your skills and your physical practice for yourself. You know, Bob Dylan can't write Gene Burnett songs any more than I can write a Bob Dylan song. I write the best Gene Burnett songs ever written. I've been doing this since 1975, and I know most of my fans by name personally. By any external measure, I'm a complete failure at this. I've got a little bit of love on YouTube, but you know, if I had 50 people in the world who would buy my albums sight unseen, I would be in heaven. 50. I don't have any. Maybe, I don't know, a handful, 6, 7 people. As far as an audience goes, you know, I'm writing songs and making albums for maybe 100 people who listen to them. An actual audience, people who actually listen to my albums, it's like under a dozen people. I've been, you know, I press 100 albums when I make an album. I give them away, and most people don't say a word back to me about it. I've written hundreds of songs. I've been doing this since 1975. Nothing bad has happened. I'm a complete failure at this. Nothing bad has happened, right? Tons of good stuff has happened. I've met people, met my wife through my music. I met some of my best and closest, most wonderful friends through music. I've had my most favorite times doing music. Ditto Tai Chi. I'm not setting the world on fire with Tai Chi. I'm not an acclaimed teacher or a massively successful YouTuber with my little Tai Chi tips or anything like that. I teach people in the park one at a time. I'm slowly getting better and more in balance and more in myself and more healthy. Nothing bad has happened because of that. Only good stuff has happened from that physical practice. So, you know, I hear about people who, you know, they take a break 3 or 4 years and then they go into the studio and make an album, and then there's 3 or 4 years. Like I don't see it that way. To me, that's about product, and I'm glad people do that. Some of my favorite songwriters do that. But for me, it's a practice. I write almost daily. I make these, you know, when I've got 15 or 18 songs or whatever, and it's usually about once a year, I make another album, I make a record, I put it out there in the world on the internet and whatever, and then I go right into the next one. To me, it's like a daily practice. It's something I super enjoy. I've never enjoyed it more, even though, you know, I've written some of my best songs ever, you know, 10 people hear them. You know, nothing bad has happened. It's, as far as a practice goes, I mean, it couldn't be better. So that's because I'm not in this to get anywhere and beat someone in the marketplace or climb the industry ladder or any of that stuff. So if you are, you know, God bless you and good luck, because you're definitely going to need it. I'm just suggesting that instead of looking up at what the people you admired have done, look inside and see how it feels in there and how you might want to what you might want to get out of your system through your music or through some kind of creative practice or through a physical practice. What would you want to express? What do you want to be able to do with your body? Just engage the creative or the physical process and let it change you. So, you know, make the sounds that feel good to you. Make the movements that feel good to you. When you're running on the treadmill or when you're sitting at the thing, turn it into a practice. Don't worry about how good it is compared to other people. Just look at how you feel and what you can improve, what little increments you can do through self-study. Just start. Just start. See how it feels. If it feels really bad, okay, well maybe you can stop and say, well, this just isn't for me. Or it might not feel bad. It might feel really good. You might really like it. So start. Do it right now. Turn off your computer. Pick up your instrument. Fuck the marketplace. Fuck the other people's opinions, some of whom will hate literally whatever you do, no matter what it is. People hate the greatest artists in the world. Just start looking for sounds and words that feel good. Or take up, you know, if you've ever done a yoga class, just do one pose right now. Just do one Tai Chi movement. Just stand in neutral. Just do one thing. Just start, because, man, give that yes feeling. Look for something that gives you that yes feeling. Because everybody I know that's happy and healthy and older, really vital in their 80s, man, they have a physical practice or they have a creative practice, or both. They're working on it. It keeps you passionately interested in life to have a practice. So I encourage you to have one. I'm sorry I've rambled a bit on this particular video because there's a bunch of stuff I wanted to say and maybe I should have just shot from the hip. But anyway, I got it all out there. So start. Don't stop. Start. And do it now. Do it soon. Do it tomorrow. Do it this evening. Take 5 minutes and create something. Take 5 minutes and work on something in your physical life. And then tomorrow take another 5 minutes and try to do it a little bit better. And keep going, and keep going, and keep going until you die. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and you can subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of thing. I do a lot of music videos, Tai Chi videos, nature videos, that kind of stuff. And you can also visit GeneBurnett.com. And if you like this kind of thing a lot, you can leave me a donation in my PayPal link down below. Thanks.